Hello and welcome to the Sleepy Orbit channel. Tonight, we step softly into the quiet marvels of our living planet, a world woven from stardust, shaped by time and humming with stories older than memory. Around us, life unfolds in ways both ordinary and astonishing. It breathes in the soil beneath our feet, glows in the crushing dark of the deep sea, and endures in places so extreme they defy imagination. From the tiniest microbe feeding on rock to the slow heartbeat of a 400-year-old shark, Earth's creatures carry secrets that stretch the limits of biology and soothe the soul with their quiet resilience. If these gentle journeys bring you peace, know that sharing them helps other weary minds find this space of calm. A like, a comment, or even a silent moment of wonder keeps this community alive. But for now, there is nothing you must do, no task to complete, no thought to hold on to. Simply breathe. Let your shoulders soften. Allow your mind to drift like a leaf on still water as we wander together through the quiet miracles of life. Let us begin. Many of us imagine life's origin as a tender spark in a sunlit pond, gentle ripples, warm shallows, and the soft chemistry of dawn. But modern science suggests a far more dramatic birthplace, the abyssal darkness of the deep ocean, where towering chimneys of mineral and fire rise from Earth's molten heart. These hydrothermal vents, often called black smokers, spew water hotter than boiling, laced with sulfides, iron, and methane from deep within the planet. To us, this sounds like a furnace of death. Yet within the labyrinthine pores of these mineral towers, conditions may have been just right for life's first stirrings. Here in total darkness and under crushing pressure, simple molecules could have found shelter, energy, and catalytic surfaces to bond into something more complex. Tiny natural compartments within the vent structures may have acted as the first cells, protecting fragile protolife from the violent churn of early Earth. Even today, these vents host entire ecosystems that require no sunlight at all. Giant tube worms, blind crabs, and ghostly shrimp thrive not on photosynthesis, but on chemosynthesis, bacteria converting toxic hydrogen sulfide into usable energy. This ancient metabolism may be our oldest inheritance, a whisper from life's very first breath. It's a humbling thought that the story of every living thing, including you, might have begun not in warmth and light, but in fire, pressure, and eternal night. And speaking of survival in impossible places, some creatures can endure being frozen solid, then return to life as if they'd only taken a short nap. Take the wood frog of North America. As winter descends, this small amphibian allows ice to form throughout its body, between cells, in its belly cavity, even in its blood. Its heart stops. Its breathing ceases. Its brain falls silent. For all appearances, it is dead. Yet within its cells, a miracle unfolds. Glucose floods its tissues like a natural antifreeze, preventing ice crystals from shredding delicate membranes. Locked in this icy stasis, the frog waits. And when spring arrives, when the sun warms the forest floor and the ice softens, its heart begins to beat again. Blood flows, muscles twitch, and within hours it hops away, unharmed, into the thawing world. It's not alone in this feat. Certain insects, like the Arctic woolly bear caterpillar, freeze solid for months, surviving temperatures that drop below degrees C. Tardigrades, those microscopic water bears, dry into glass-like specks and can remain suspended for decades, only to revive with a drop of water. These are not tricks of magic, but masterclasses in biochemistry. Life's ability to hit pause, to tuck itself into a safe corner of time until the world becomes hospitable once more. In a universe where change is constant, the power to wait, to endure stillness, is perhaps one of evolution's most profound gifts. And then there are those who never see the sun at all. We often say that all life depends on sunlight, that plants capture its energy, animals eat the plants, and the cycle continues. But in the deep ocean's midnight zone, far below where even the faintest photon can reach, entire communities flourish without a single ray of light. Around hydrothermal vents and cold seeps, life builds itself from chemistry alone. Bacteria harvest energy from methane, hydrogen, and sulfides, forming the base of food webs that include giant clams, ghostly octopuses, and swarms of eyeless shrimp. In underwater caves and aquifers sealed for millennia, other species have adapted similarly. Their eyes have shrunk to nothing, replaced by heightened senses of vibration, smell, or touch. To them, darkness isn't absence, it's home. Life, it seems, doesn't require light. It only requires a source of energy, however strange, however hidden. Consider the jellyfish, a creature so ancient it predates trees, dinosaurs, and even the first forests. Or over 500 million years, these gelatinous beings have drifted through Earth's oceans, surviving 5 mass extinctions that erased countless other lineages. Their bodies are almost absurdly simple: no brain, no heart, no bones, just a translucent bell of tissue, 95% water, pulsing gently through the sea. Yet this simplicity is their strength. They regenerate damaged parts. Some glow with ethereal bioluminescence. Others form blooms so vast they clog fishing nets and alter ocean chemistry. Their design, perfected in the Cambrian seas, has scarcely changed because it works elegantly, efficiently, enduringly. To watch a jellyfish pulse in the deep is to witness deep time made visible, a living fossil drifting through epochs with quiet grace. Even stone is not beyond life's reach. Certain microbes, called lithotrophs, feed not on sunlight, plants, or animals, but directly on rocks. They extract electrons from iron, sulfur, manganese, and even uranium, using these chemical reactions to power their metabolism. Deep underground, in fractures kilometers below the surface, entire microbial ecosystems thrive in perpetual darkness, drawing energy from the slow reaction between water and bedrock. These rock eaters are so resilient that scientists study them as models for potential life on Mars or Europa. Over geological time, they've altered Earth's crust, helped form mineral deposits, and may have even influenced the rise of oxygen in our atmosphere. Life, it turns out, can make a meal of a mountain. Among the oldest known living organisms are clonal colonies, entities that spread not through seeds, but by endlessly replicating themselves. In the Mediterranean Sea, A single meadow of Posidonia oceanica seagrass has been growing for over 10,000 years. Every blade is genetically identical, connected by a vast underwater rhizome network that has survived since the end of the last ice age. On land, the aspen grove known as Pando in Utah covers 106 acres and contains over 40,000 genetically identical stems, all part of one organism linked by a single root system, estimated to be between 14,000 and 80,000 years old. These beings don't live as individuals, but as continuities, forests that breathe as one, meadows that grow as a single mind across centuries. Standing among them, you don't just see trees or grass. You stand inside a single, ancient life. That spirit of quiet persistence extends underground. In Oregon's Blue Mountains lies a fungus, Armillaria ostei, that covers nearly 10 square kilometers. What appears as scattered mushrooms is merely the fruiting body of a vast mycelial web, thousands of years old, possibly weighing over 600 tons. This organism spreads slowly through the soil, digesting tree roots and recycling the forest from within. To walk through that woodland is to tread upon the skin of a single, hidden giant, a being so large it redefines what individual even means. It is a silent titan, shaping its world not with roar, but with root. And within your own body, you are not alone. For every human cell that carries your DNA, there is at least one microbial cell, bacteria, archaea, fungi, viruses, living in your gut, on your skin, in your mouth, even in your lungs. Together they form your microbiome, a dynamic ecosystem that influences your digestion, immune system, mood, and even your brain chemistry. Many of these microbes are essential. Without them, you couldn't extract nutrients from food or fight off infections. Others simply coexist, neither helping nor harming. But all of them remind you of a profound truth. You are not a solitary being. You are a walking city, a cooperative of trillions, constantly negotiating, communicating, evolving. You are, in every sense, a shared home. Among the most astonishing survivors are the tardigrades, microscopic animals no larger than a grain of sand, yet capable of enduring conditions that would obliterate nearly all other life. When their environment turns hostile, drying out, freezing, boiling, or being exposed to radiation, they curl into a dehydrated husk called a ton. In this state, their metabolism drops to near zero, and special proteins shield their DNA from damage. Scientists have exposed them to the vacuum of space, to temperatures near absolute zero, to radiation doses thousands of times lethal to humans, and they've survived. Add water, and they revive within hours, resuming life as if nothing happened. They are proof that life can persist in the most hostile environments imaginable, perhaps even on other worlds. Flexibility defines survival in many forms. In clownfish communities, all individuals begin life as males. But if the dominant female dies, the largest male undergoes a complete biological transformation. His testes regress, ovaries develop, and within weeks, he becomes the new breeding female. In wrasses and groupers, the switch can go both ways, male to female or female to male, depending on social dynamics. These aren't quirks, they're evolution. RE strategies. By allowing sex to shift with need, these fish ensure their groups always have the right balance to reproduce. Nature, it seems, isn't bound by fixed categories. It reshapes them as circumstances demand. Then there's the axolotl, a salamander native to the lakes of Mexico. Unlike most amphibians, it never undergoes full metamorphosis. It remains aquatic, gilled, and juvenile-looking its entire life. But its true marvel is regeneration. If it loses a limb, a spinal segment, or even part of its brain, it can regrow the missing tissue perfectly without scarring. Specialized cells at the injury site revert to a stem cell-like state, then rebuild bone, muscle, nerves, and skin with astonishing precision. Scientists study axolotls hoping to unlock similar regenerative potential in humans. For the axolotl, injury isn't an ending, it's an invitation to renew. Some frogs take stillness to another level. The marsh frog and its relatives can spend entire winters submerged in icy ponds, their metabolism slowed to a crawl. They absorb oxygen directly through their skin, barely moving, barely breathing. Their heartbeats slow to just a few per minute. In this state of suspended animation, they wait out the cold, trusting that warmth will return. When it does, they emerge, croaking as though they'd only blinked. This is not bravery, it's patience. The courage to do nothing, and to trust that time itself will bring change. Even the tiniest creatures wield extraordinary power. The pistol shrimp, barely a few centimeters long, has one enlarged claw that snaps shut with such speed it creates a cavitation bubble. When this bubble collapses, it produces a shockwave hotter than the surface of the sun and a flash of light called sonoluminescence. This snap stuns or kills prey instantly. Colonies of these shrimp create an underwater crackling so loud it can interfere with sonar. From such a small body comes a force rivaling stellar physics, a reminder that nature's wonders aren't always grand in scale, but in ingenuity. Birds navigate continents using senses we can barely imagine. Many possess magnetoception, the ability to detect Earth's magnetic field. Some may literally see magnetic lines as faint patterns in their visual field, thanks to light-sensitive proteins in their eyes. Others may sense the field through tiny iron-based crystals in their beaks. This invisible compass guides Arctic terns on 70,000-kilometer migrations from pole to pole, and allows homing pigeons to find their lofts from hundreds of kilometers away. To us, the sky is empty. To them, it's mapped with silent currents of force, paths written in the planet's own magnetism. Monarch butterflies undertake one of nature's most poetic journeys. Each autumn, millions leave Canada and the US, flying thousands of kilometers to specific mountain forests in central Mexico. No single butterfly completes the round trip. The migration spans 4 generations. The great-great-grandchildren of the butterflies that left in spring are the ones who return to the same oyamel fir trees their ancestors used. Guided by sunlight, magnetic fields, and genetic memory, they find their way to groves they've never seen. When the forest fills with fluttering orange wings, it feels less like biology and more like a living prayer, delicate bodies carrying an ancestral map written in their cells. Octopuses defy our expectations at every turn. They have 3 hearts, 2 pump blood through the gills, and 1 sends it to the rest of the body. Their blood is blue thanks to copper-based hemocyanin, which is more efficient than iron-based hemoglobin in cold, oxygen-poor waters. Their skin contains millions of chromatophores, allowing instant color and texture changes. They solve puzzles, escape enclosures, and even collect coconut shells to build shelters. With no skeleton, they can squeeze through openings the size of a coin. To encounter an octopus is to meet a mind evolved along a completely different path, one that challenges our definitions of intelligence, self, and even consciousness. Crows remember faces, not just for days, but for years. In studies, crows have scolded and dive-bombed researchers who once captured them while ignoring others. They teach their young to recognize dangerous humans, passing down warnings like oral history. But they also form bonds. Some have been known to leave shiny gifts, buttons, bottle caps, pebbles for people who feed them. Behind their gleaming eyes is a social intelligence that rivals primates. When a crow watches you, consider who is studying whom. Dolphins do something even more remarkable. They call each other by name. Each develops a unique signature whistle early in life, a sound that functions like a personal identifier. Other dolphins use this whistle to summon specific individuals, even when separated by distance. Mothers and calves reunite by calling each other's names. Scientists have recorded dolphins mimicking the whistle. Ease of absent friends, perhaps calling out in hope of a response. This suggests not just communication, but individual identity and social memory. Beneath the waves, a society thrives where everyone knows your name. Elephants sense storms from hundreds of kilometers away. Their large ears detect low-frequency rumbles, infrasound, produced by thunder and shifting weather systems. Their sensitive feet pick up vibrations through the ground. This early warning allows them to begin migrations toward water long before rain arrives. They also use infrasound to communicate with distant herds, sending messages across savannas where visual contact is impossible. These gentle giants are attuned to the planet's subtle pulses in ways we're only beginning to understand. Humpback whales compose songs that evolve over time. A single male's song can last 20 minutes and be repeated for hours. But what's astonishing is how these songs change. All males in a population gradually adopt the same new phrases, as if participating in a cultural trend. Sometimes, an entirely new song spreads across the South Pacific in just a few years, replacing the old one entirely. Scientists still debate why courtship, social bonding, artistic expression. Whatever the reason, the ocean becomes a living archive of music, constantly rewritten by its singers. Some bats navigate using polarized light at dusk. As sunlight scatters through the atmosphere, it creates patterns of polarized light invisible to us, but not to certain bats. They use these patterns as a compass, orienting themselves during long migrations. Combined with echolocation, this allows them to travel hundreds of kilometers with pinpoint accuracy. Their world contains dimensions of information we cannot perceive, a reminder that reality is richer than our senses alone can reveal. Even brainless organisms show surprising intelligence. Slime molds, single-celled networks that creep across forest floors, can solve mazes, find the shortest path between food sources, and even anticipate repeating events. In one experiment, a slime mold learned to expect cold, dry conditions at regular intervals and would slow down in anticipation, even when the conditions didn't appear. No brain, no neurons, just adaptive behavior emerging from cellular coordination. Intelligence, it seems, isn't exclusive to nervous systems. It's a property of life itself. Long before humans farmed, leafcutter ants were cultivating fungi underground. For over 50 million years, these ants have cut leaves, carried them into vast subterranean chambers, and used them to grow a specific fungus that serves as their sole food source. The fungus can't survive without the ants, and the ants can't survive without the fungus. A perfect mutualism. Even more astonishing, the ants grow antibiotic-producing bacteria on their bodies to protect their crops from mold. This ancient agriculture, practiced in darkness, rivals human complexity in scale and cooperation. A single leafcutter colony can house millions of workers, spanning dozens of meters underground. Chambers are specialized, nurseries for larvae, vaults for the queen, fungal gardens, waste dumps. Highways connect districts. Communication flows via pheromone trails that function like chemical road signs. The queen, who may live 20 years, lays thousands of eggs daily. The entire city operates without a central planner, just instinct, chemistry, and collective effort. Beneath our feet lies a civilization as intricate as our own, built by creatures smaller than your fingernail. Termites construct mounds that function as natural air conditioners. In Africa's savannas, these towering structures, some over 6 meters tall, maintain a near-constant internal temperature despite 40 degrees C days and near-freezing nights. How? Through a network of chimneys, tunnels, and porous walls that create passive ventilation. Warm air rises and escapes through central chimneys, drawing cooler air in from below. Termites constantly adjust the structure, opening or closing vents in response to weather. Architects now mimic this design for sustainable buildings. These mounds are not just nests, they are breathing, responsive machines made of clay. And in the deep ocean's eternal night, life makes its own light. Bioluminescence turns darkness into a canvas. Dinoflagellates sparkle like stars when disturbed. Anglerfish dangle glowing lures. Squid release luminous ink clouds to escape predators. Some shrimp flash signals to mates. For these creatures, light is language used to hunt, hide, attract, or confuse. The deep sea isn't empty, it's a theater of living lanterns where every flash carries meaning. What we call darkness is, for them, a world alive with radiance. Fireflies synchronize their flashes across entire forests. In places like Tennessee's Great Smoky Mountains or Southeast Asia, thousands of males blink in perfect unison, waves of golden light rising and falling like the forest's heartbeat. This coordinate helps females spot potential mates more easily. To witness it is to feel time slow, as if nature itself is breathing in rhythm. Tiny insects, no bigger than rice grains, create a spectacle more magical than any human fireworks. Some squid achieve near invisibility. By scattering light with specialized skin cells, they erase their outlines in open water. Others become translucent, their organs faintly visible, but their bodies vanishing into the blue. In a realm with no places to hide, invisibility is the ultimate defense and hunting tool. These cephalopods aren't just camouflaged, they become part of the water itself. Even sharks can glow. Lantern sharks emit a soft bioluminescence from their undersides, camouflaging them against faint surface light, a trick called counter-illumination. Others use light to communicate with potential mates. Their bodies become constellations in the abyss, turning predation into poetry. The Greenland shark, slow-moving, often blind from parasites, may live over 400 years, making it the longest-lived vertebrate known. Some individuals were alive when Galileo first pointed a telescope at the stars. They grow less than a centimeter per year and may not reach sexual maturity until age 150. Their longevity is a mystery wrapped in cold, dark water, a life measured not in decades, but in centuries. Goldfish and crucian carp survive weeks without oxygen by converting lactic acid into ethanol, which they excrete through their gills. This extraordinary metabolism lets them endure frozen ponds where other fish would suffocate. While we gasp after minutes without air, they simply switch biochemical gears and wait. Lungfish burrow into mud when rivers dry, secreting a mucus cocoon that hardens around them. They breathe air through a lung-like organ, slowing their metabolism to a whisper. They can remain like this for years until rain returns. This state, estivation, is life's answer to drought, not fight but sleep. Eels undertake epic migrations to the Sargasso Sea, spawning once before dying. Their transparent larvae drift back on ocean currents, transforming as they go, eventually returning to rivers their parents never knew. The full journey remains one of oceanography's great mysteries, so secretive that no one has ever observed eels spawning in the wild. Parrotfish sleep in mucus cocoons that mask their scent from nocturnal predators like moray eels. By morning, they break free, ready to munch coral, grinding it into the fine sand that forms tropical beaches. Each night, a fragile veil protects them. Each day, they reshape coastlines. In seahorses, males give birth. After an elaborate courtship dance, the female deposits eggs into the male's brood pouch. He fertilizes them, nourishes them, and after weeks of gestation, goes into labor, releasing dozens of tiny, perfect seahorses into the sea. parenting roles reversed, yet filled with the same tenderness. Water striders walk on water, their legs repelling liquid through surface tension and microscopic hairs. To them, the water's surface is a world of its own, offering food and safety from aquatic threats. What's impossible for us is daily life for them. And again, the tardigrade, not only surviving space and freezing, but also deadly radiation. Its secret, proteins that form protective gels around DNA, preventing breakage. In a universe of hazards, it carries a shield built of molecules. Some algae live inside rocks, endolithic life, burrowed into porous stone in deserts like Antarctica's dry valleys or Chile's Atacama. They survive on trace moisture and faint light filtering through mineral. Life doesn't need abundance, only a crack of possibility. Lichens, symbiotic unions of fungi and algae, colonize bare rock, ice, and tundra. The fungus provides structure, the algae provide food via photosynthesis. Together, they form a new being greater than its parts. Some lichens may live thousands of years. They teach us that survival often depends not on competition, but on partnership. Certain bacteria breathe metal, using iron, manganese, or uranium as electron acceptors instead of oxygen. In oxygen-free mud or deep aquifers, they exhale rust, slowly transforming their environment. This metabolism may mirror Earth's earliest life and hint at possibilities on alien worlds. Even plastic is not beyond life's grasp. Bacteria like Ideonella sacchaensis have evolved enzymes that break down PET plastic into usable energy. In just decades, life is adapting to our synthetic waste, a sobering and hopeful sign of its relentless ingenuity. Trees communicate through underground fungal networks, the wood wide web. Through these mycorrhizal threads, they share nutrients, send distress signals, and even nurse seedlings. Older mother trees support younger ones, ensuring forest resilience. What looks like competition above ground is cooperation below. Plants release chemical warnings when attacked. Neighboring plants detect these airborne compounds and ramp up their own defenses, producing toxins or toughening leaves. The forest is not silent, it's whispering in a language of scent. The Venus flytrap doesn't snap at every touch. It requires 2 stimuli within 20 seconds, a safeguard against false alarms. Once closed, further movements trigger digestion. It counts, a plant making decisions without a brain. Mimosa pudica, sensitive plant, learns to ignore harmless drops after repeated exposure. Weeks later, it still remembers. Memory without neurons, proof that awareness isn't exclusive to animals. Bamboo can grow nearly a meter in a single day, fueled by hollow stems that channel water and nutrients with explosive efficiency. It's a symbol of resilience, strong, flexible, and fast to renew. The Titan arum, corpse flower, produces the world's largest unbranched inflorescence, over 3 meters tall, smelling of rotting flesh to attract carrion beetles. Its bloom lasts just 24–48 hours, a fleeting monument to life's dramatic strategies. Orchids deceive by mimicking female insects, shape, scent, texture, luring males to mate with the flower, transferring pollen in the process. Survival through illusion, seduction through mimicry. Seeds can lie dormant for thousands of years. A 32,000-year-old Arctic flower was revived from squirrel burrows. A 2,000-year-old Judean date palm sprouted in Israel. Seeds are time capsules, life on pause, waiting for the right moment to awaken. Mangroves filter salt at their roots or excrete it through leaf glands, thriving in brackish water where few plants survive. Their tangled roots shelter marine life and buffer coastlines, engineers of the shore. Grasses survive wildfires by storing life underground in rhizomes. After fire sweeps the surface, they sprout anew, often greener, healthier. Fire isn't destruction, it's part of their cycle. Coral reefs are built by tiny polyps, each secreting calcium carbonate. Over millennia, they form structures visible from space, supporting 25% of marine life. Without them, tropical seas would be deserts. Clownfish live among venomous anemones, protected by a mucus coating. In return, they clean the anemone, chase away predators, and circulate water. A delicate trust between potential enemies. Cleaner fish run stations, where predators like groupers and eels wait patiently to be groomed, parasites removed, gills cleaned. Cooperation in a world of teeth. Some sharks never stop swimming, great whites, marcos, relying on ram ventilation to breathe. They sleep with half their brain at a time, gliding in perpetual motion. The ocean is their bed and highway. Sea turtle hatchlings crawl toward the ocean, guided by moonlight on waves. Adults navigate entire oceans, using magnetic fields and stars to return to their birth beaches. Penguins drink seawater safely, thanks to salt-excreting glands above their eyes, dripping brine from their beaks like tiny fountains. Frigate birds sleep while flying, shutting down one brain hemisphere at a time during weeks-long oceanic journeys. Albatrosses glide for days without flapping, riding wind currents in elegant arcs across the Southern Ocean. Hummingbirds' hearts beat over 1,000 times per minute in flight. At night, they enter torpor, slowing metabolism to conserve energy. Birds of paradise perform elaborate courtship dances, transforming into living kaleidoscopes. Grebes run side by side across water in perfect synchrony. Lyrebirds mimic chainsaws, car alarms, camera shutters, weaving human noise into wild symphonies. Arctic terns migrate pole to pole each year, 70,000 km round trip, chasing endless summer. Spiders balloon on silk threads, riding winds kilometers into the sky, even over oceans. Orb weavers spin silk stronger than steel by weight, using different kinds for structure, stickiness, and wrapping. Trapdoor spiders build hinged, camouflaged burrows that snap shut on prey like living traps. Parasitic wasps turn cockroaches into docile zombies, guiding them to burrows where larvae feed. Honeybees perform the waggle dance, encoding direction and distance to flowers in precise movements, language written in motion. Strawberry poison dart frogs carry tadpoles on their backs to water-filled bromeliads, then feed them unfertilized eggs. The Suriname toad embeds eggs in the mother's back skin. Tiny toads later emerge through pores like living jewels. Glass frogs have translucent bellies, revealing beating hearts and coiled intestines, a camouflage that blends with dappled light. Horned lizards squirt blood from their eyes to repel predators, a last resort defense. Basilisk lizards run on water, slapping the surface with fringed feet to stay afloat. Paradise tree snakes glide through air, flattening their bodies into ribbons that generate lift. Komodo dragons deliver venom that prevents clotting and drops blood pressure. Crocodiles slow their hearts to a few beats per minute, surviving months without food. Electric fish communicate with a weak electric field. DS, electric eels stun prey with 600-volt shocks. Bioluminescent bacteria live inside flashlight fish, glowing on command. Squid flash color signals across their skin, chromatophores expanding in waves to communicate. The vampire squid drifts in oxygen-poor zones, gathering marine snow with sticky filaments, more scavenger than predator. Colossal squid have eyes the size of dinner plates, 30 cm across, to spot faint bioluminescence in the abyss. Barrel-eye fish have transparent heads, revealing glowing green eyes that rotate upward to scan for prey. Anglerfish dangle glowing lures, colonies of bacteria, into darkness, snapping up curious victims. Decorator crabs adorn themselves with living sponges and anemones, camouflage that stings would-be attackers. Hermit crabs form vacancy chains when a new shell appears, lining up by size to trade homes in perfect sequence. Mantis shrimp see 16 color channels. We see 3, detecting UV and polarized light invisible to us, and punch with the force of a bullet, creating cavitation bubbles that shatter glass. Polychaete worms glow emerald in the deep sea, releasing luminous trails to confuse predators. Hydrothermal vents build metal sulfide chimneys, black smokers, that host entire ecosystems. Thermophiles thrive in near-boiling hot springs. Acidophils flourish in lakes, so corrosive they dissolve metal. Microbes live miles underground, feeding on hydrogen from rock-water reactions, part of Earth's deep biosphere, possibly larger than all surface life combined. Giant tube worms at vents host symbiotic bacteria that turn toxic hydrogen sulfide into food, proof that life can build abundance from poison. Extremophiles, organisms thriving in boiling heat, freezing cold, acid, radiation, show life's boundaries are far wider than we imagined. Life on Earth does not merely persist in isolation. It weaves itself into intricate partnerships, silent signals, and hidden networks that span forests, oceans, and even our own bodies. Beneath the surface of what we see lies a world of cooperation so profound it redefines what it means to be an individual. Trees share food through fungal threads. Bacteria light up fish like living lanterns. Ants farm fungi in underground cities. These are not exceptions, they are the rule. Survival, it turns out, is often less about competition and more about connection. If this gentle exploration brings you calm, know that your presence here matters. A like, a quiet comment, or simply holding space for wonder helps this channel remain a haven for sleepy souls. But for now, let go of all expectations. There's nothing to remember, nothing to solve. Just breathe. Let the rhythm of these words carry you deeper into the quiet marvels of our living world. Let us continue. Beneath every forest floor lies a secret so vast it's been called the Wood Wide Web, an underground network of fungal filaments that link tree roots into a living communication system. Through this mycorrhizal web, trees don't just coexist, they cooperate. Sugar flows from sun-drenched elders to shaded seedlings. Nitrogen and phosphorus travel from nutrient-rich zones to struggling neighbors. When a tree is attacked by pests, it releases chemical warnings that travel through the fungal threads, prompting nearby trees to boost their own defenses, producing bitter tannins or toughening their bark. Older mother trees, with their vast root systems, act as hubs, nurturing the next generation like wise elders tending to their kin. What appears above ground as a collection of solitary trunks is below a single breathing community, one that has been exchanging resources and information for millions of years. To walk through a forest is to tread upon a conversation older than human language. Plants, though rooted and seemingly passive, are far from silent. When a caterpillar begins chewing on a leaf, the plant doesn't just endure, it responds. It releases volatile organic compounds into the air, chemical signals that drift like invisible smoke. Neighboring plants of the same species detect these molecules and begin preparing their own defenses, ramping up toxins or altering their scent to repel future herbivores. Some even summon bodyguards. By emitting specific fragrances, they attract parasitic wasps that hunt the very insects eating them. This isn't random chemistry, it's targeted communication. In a meadow or forest grove, the air hums with silent alarms, invisible pleas, and strategic alliances. The green world is not mute. It speaks in molecules, and those who listen, like bees, beetles, or other plants, hear its urgent whispers. The Venus flytrap takes this responsiveness to theatrical heights. Its lobed leaves form a trap lined with tiny trigger hairs. A single touch, Ignored, perhaps just a falling raindrop, but two touches within about 20 seconds, that's the signal. The trap snaps shut with startling speed, sealing the prey inside. But the plant doesn't stop there. If the captive SDR uggles brushing against the inner walls, those movements stimulate the flytrap to flood the chamber with digestive enzymes. It counts the touches, ensuring it only expends energy when a real meal is secured. This precision, achieved without a nervous system, reveals a kind of intelligence rooted in biochemistry, a patient hunter that measures time, movement, and value before acting. Even memory exists without a brain. The mimosa pudica, or sensitive plant, folds its leaves shut when touched, a defense against grazing insects. But in laboratory experiments, scientists repeatedly dropped the plant from a harmless height. At first, it recoiled every time, but after a while it stopped responding, as if it had learned the drops posed no threat. Remarkably, weeks later, it still remembered. It ignored the drops while still reacting to actual danger. This form of learning, based on cellular changes, not neurons, shows that awareness isn't exclusive to animals. Plants, too, carry experience in their tissues, adjusting their behavior based on past encounters. They may not think as we do, but they remember. Orchids are masters of deception, evolution's ultimate illusionists. Some species have evolved flowers that mimic the shape, texture, and even scent of female insects. Male wasps or bees, fooled by this botanical masquerade, attempt to mate with the bloom. In the process, they brush against pollen sacs which cling to their bodies. When they visit the next orchid, equally fooled, they deposit the pollen, completing the plant's reproductive cycle. No nectar is offered, no reward given. Just pure trickery, perfected over millennia. To the insect, it's a moment of passion. To the orchid, it's a flawless act of reproductive strategy, a reminder that survival can be achieved not through strength, but through seduction. Then there's the Titan arum, or corpse flower, a botanical spectacle that blooms only once every few years, then vanishes for decades. When it rises, it does so dramatically. A towering spadix can reach over 3 meters tall, wrapped in a deep maroon spathe. And it emits a stench so foul, rotting flesh, sewage, decay, that it draws in carrion beetles and flies from hundreds of meters away. These insects, expecting a feast, instead become unwitting pollinators. For the few days the bloom lasts, the forest fills with this nauseating perfume, a grotesque, magnificent act of reproductive theater. Crowds gather at botanical gardens just to witness it, drawn by equal parts horror and awe. In its brief, stinking glory, the corpse flower embodies life's relentless drive. Even revulsion can be repurposed as a path to continuation. Seeds, too, are master strategists of time. Encased in protective shells, they can shut down metabolism almost entirely, entering a state of suspended animation. Some wait not for seasons, but for centuries. In Siberia, scientists revived a flowering plant from 32,000-year-old seeds buried in permafrost by Ice Age squirrels. In Israel, a 2,000-year-old date palm seed from the Judean desert sprouted green shoots under modern sunlight. These aren't miracles, they're biochemical masterpieces. With sugars that stabilize cell structures and antioxidants that prevent decay, seeds become time capsules, carrying tomorrow's forests in silent slumber. To hold one is to hold potential across millennia, a quiet promise that life will return even after the longest winter. Mangroves thrive where few plants dare, along tropical coastlines battered by salt, wind, and tides. Their secret: salt filtration and excretion. Some species filter seawater at the root level, allowing only fresh water to enter. Others absorb salt but expel it through specialized glands on their leaves, leaving behind white crystalline crusts that shimmer in the sun. Their tangled prop roots stabilize shorelines, buffer storms, and create nurseries for fish, crabs, and birds. Mangroves don't just survive at the edge of land and sea, they engineer it. Each tree is both fortress and cradle, guarding the coast while sheltering generations of marine life. Grasses, too, turn destruction into renewal. In wildfire-prone ecosystems, fire isn't an end, it's a reset. While flames consume the surface, the grass's true life lies hidden underground in rhizomes, horizontal stems that store energy and sprout new shoots. Within days of a burn, green blades push through the ash, nourished by nutrient-rich soil and freed from competing shrubs. Some grasslands even require fire to thrive. Without it, they become overgrown and stagnant. Fire, then, is not an enemy but a partner, a fierce, cleansing force that clears the way for rebirth. In this cycle, life doesn't resist chaos, it dances with it. Coral reefs, those underwater cathedrals of color, are built by creatures no larger than your thumbnail. Coral polyps, soft-bodied relatives of jellyfish, secrete calcium carbonate skeletons that accumulate over centuries into vast structures. Though fragile individuals, allied together, they form ecosystems that shelter 25% of all marine species. Reefs feed nations, protect coasts from erosion, and pulse with biodiversity. Yet they are also deeply vulnerable. Rising temperatures cause corals to expel their symbiotic algae, a process called bleaching that can kill entire reefs. Their fate reminds us that even the grandest creations of life depend on delicate balance. Clownfish and sea anemones share one of nature's most iconic partnerships. Anemones wield stinging cells that paralyze most fish, but clownfish are coated in a mucus layer that neutralizes the venom. This allows them to live safely among the tentacles, a living fortress. In return, clownfish defend the anemone from predators, clean its surface, and circulate water with their movements, ensuring it receives oxygen. Neither can thrive as well alone. Their bond is mutualism perfected. Danger becomes shelter, and shelter becomes home. On reef cleaning stations, predators and prey set aside their roles. Cleaner wrasses and gobies set up shop on coral outcrops, where groupers, eels, and even sharks line up patiently. The cleaners dart over their bodies, picking off parasites, dead skin, and mucus. Some clients open their mouths wide, allowing cleaners to swim inside and groom their gills. This isn't altruism, it's commerce. Cleaners get food, clients get health. but the trust required is astonishing. In a world defined by tooth and claw, these moments of peace reveal that cooperation can be just as powerful as competition. Some sharks, like the great white and Marco, are obligate ram ventilators. They must swim constantly to force oxygen-rich water over their gills. They never truly rest. Instead, they enter a state of unihemispheric slow-wave sleep, shutting down one half of their brain while the other remains alert enough to keep swimming. They glide in perpetual motion, dreaming with one eye open, carried by currents they cannot escape. For them, stillness is death. Life is momentum, a reminder that survival sometimes demands endless journeying, even in sleep. Sea turtle hatchlings crawl from sandy nests toward the ocean, guided by the brightest horizon, usually moonlight glinting off waves. This ancient instinct has served them for millions of years. As adults, they navigate entire oceans, returning to the very beaches where they were born. How? Through a combination of Earth's magnetic field, celestial cues, and perhaps even smell. Their migrations span continents, yet they always find home. And to them, the planet itself is a map, its fields, stars, and tides etched into their cells. Penguins thrive in icy seas where fresh water is scarce, yet they drink seawater freely. Their secret lies in supraorbital glands above their eyes, which filter salt from their blood. The concentrated brine drips from their beaks or is sneezed out in fine sprays. This adaptation frees them from dependence on rivers or rain, allowing them to live fully in the marine world. Watching a penguin shake salt from its feathers is to witness evolution's quiet ingenuity, a bird that turned the ocean into its drinking fountain. High above the Southern Ocean, albatrosses ride the wind with wingspans stretching over 3 meters. They use a technique called dynamic soaring, angling into wind gradients to extract energy without flapping. For hours, even days, they glide in elegant arcs, circling the globe with minimal effort. They sleep on the wing, drink rain from their beaks, and only land to breed. And to see an albatross float endlessly above waves is to witness a creature at one with the sky, an embodiment of grace, patience, and wind-borne freedom. Hummingbirds are tiny dynamos. Their wings beat over 50 times per second, allowing them to hover, fly backward, and dart with impossible precision. To fuel this, their hearts race at over 1,000 beats per minute, and they consume nectar equal to half their body weight daily. At night, they enter torpor, slowing their metabolism to conserve energy, a mini hibernation that lets them survive cold nights. Despite their delicacy, some migrate non-stop across the Gulf of Mexico, a 500-mile journey over open water. In their jewel-like bodies burns a fire of life so intense it defies their size. Courtship in the animal world often becomes art. Birds of paradise transform into living kaleidoscopes. Males clear dance floors on the forest floor, then unfurl feathers into dazzling fans, hop in precise patterns, and vibrate with iridescent light. Females watch critically, choosing mates based on choreography and color. Meanwhile, grebes perform synchronized water dances, running side by side across the surface in perfect unison, necks arched, feet slapping in rhythm. These aren't random displays, they're performances honed by evolution, where beauty becomes a measure of fitness and grace becomes genetic currency. The lyrebird of Australia takes mimicry to uncanny heights. Males weave natural calls with human-made sounds, cha. In saws, camera shutters, car alarms, even video game chimes. These imitations aren't parlor tricks. They're part of complex courtship songs meant to impress females. Standing in a forest and hearing a lyrebird call is like listening to the environment echo back in distorted harmony. Their songs blur the line between wild and civilized, reminding us that nature absorbs everything, even our noise, and reweaves it into its own symphony. The Arctic tern undertakes the longest migration of any animal. From the Arctic to Antarctica and back, a 70,000-kilometer round trip each year. Over its 30-year lifespan, it may fly the equivalent of 3 trips to the moon. It chases endless summer, living in near-constant daylight for months. Guided by magnetic fields, stars, and instinct, this delicate bird endures storms, predators, and vast oceanic voids. Its life is a testament to endurance, not through power, but through persistence, one wingbeat at a time. Young spiders disperse by ballooning. They climb to a high point, release silk threads, and let the wind carry them skyward. Some drift kilometers into the atmosphere, landing on ships far from shore or colonizing remote islands. This aerial migration turns the sky into a highway for the tiniest travelers. To watch a spider lift on a thread of silk is to see flight without wings, a miracle of physics and faith, trusting the wind to carry you into the unknown. Orb-weaver spiders are master engineers. Their silk is stronger than steel by weight, yet elastic enough to absorb the impact of flying insects. They produce multiple silk types: rigid frame lines, sticky capture spirals, soft egg sacs. Each web is a feat of material science, rebuilt nightly with precision. Scientists have tried for decades to replicate spider silk for medical and industrial use, but its complexity, blending strength, flexibility, and self-assembly, remains unmatched. The spider, with 8 legs and no lab, accomplishes what our best engineers cannot. Trapdoor spiders build fortresses, not webs. They dig burrows lined with silk, then craft hinged doors from soil and vegetation, camouflaged to blend with the surroundings. Hidden inside, they wait for vibrations signaling prey. When a beetle wanders too close, the door flies open, the spider strikes and retreats, all in less than a second. The door snaps shut, leaving no trace. Unlike the open vulnerability of orb webs, this is ambush architecture, patience made solid, secrecy turned into strategy. Parasitic wasps practice biological puppetry. Some inject eggs into cockroaches, then release chemicals that rewire the host's brain, turning it into a docile zombie. The roach grooms itself obsessively, then follows the wasp like a pet into a burrow, where it remains alive as the larva feeds on it. Other wasps compel caterpillars to guard their pupae, sacrificing themselves as living shields. These aren't horror stories, they're evolutionary strategies so precise they blur the line between organism and extension. The host becomes a vessel, its body and mind repurposed for another's survival. Honeybees communicate through dance. When a forager finds flowers, it returns to the hive and performs the waggle dance, a figure-8 pattern that encodes direction and distance relative to the sun. Other bees decode the angle and duration, then fly straight to the source. This language of movement allows colonies to exploit resources with astonishing efficiency. As the sun shifts, the dance adjusts, proof of real-time calculation without a brain. In the humming hive, information flows not through sound, but through rhythm, a choreography of survival written in motions. Strawberry poison dart frogs are devoted parents. After eggs hatch, the male carries each tadpole on his back, climbing trees to deposit them in tiny pools of water inside bromeliad leaves. The mother then returns regularly to lay unfertilized eggs as food. This level of care is rare among amphibians, where most abandon their young. It shows that even in the chaotic rainforest, attention and nurture can be survival strategies, tiny acts of devotion that tip the odds in favor of the next generation. The Suriname toad gives birth in one of nature's strangest rituals. After mating, the female's back softens, and the male presses fertilized eggs into her skin. The tissue grows over them, sealing each embryo in a honeycomb chamber. Weeks later, fully formed toadlets emerge through pores in her back, wriggling into the water like living jewels. It's a grotesque yet brilliant adaptation. The mother's body becomes a nursery, protecting offspring from predators and dehydration. What seems alien to us is, to this species, simply the way life continues. Glass frogs are windows into anatomy. Their translucent skin reveals beating hearts, coiled intestines, and developing eggs. Scientists believe this transparency provides camouflage, blending with dappled light on leaves, making their outlines vanish. When perched on the underside of foliage, they become nearly invisible. Their fragility is their strength. In a world of predators, being see-through is better than being seen. Horned lizards defend themselves with blood squirting. When threatened by coyotes or birds, they flood their sinus cavities with blood until vessels rupture, shooting jets up to several feet. The blood contains foul-tasting chemicals that deter attackers. It's a last resort tactic, costly and disorienting, but effective. Combined with spiny armor and camouflage, it turns a small, slow reptile into something memorable. Nature's defenses aren't always elegant, but they work. The basilisk lizard runs on water. Nicknamed the Jesus Christ lizard, it uses fringed hind feet to slap the surface hard enough to create air pockets, preventing it from sinking. Juveniles can run 20 meters across ponds to escape predators. It's not magic, it's biomechanics, speed, surface tension, and precise footwork. To watch one sprint across a stream is to see physics become poetry, gravity momentarily defied by necessity. Paradise tree snakes glide through rainforest canopies. They flatten their bodies, launch from branches, and undulate midair to generate lift. Though limbless, they can travel over 20 meters in a single leap, steering towards safe landings. Their flight is a marvel of aerodynamics, proof that even serpents can take to the skies when the forest demands it. Komodo dragons were long thought to kill with bacteria-laced saliva, but we now know they wield venom. Their bite delivers toxins that prevent blood clotting, lower blood pressure, and induce shock. Combined with serrated teeth, this makes their attacks devastating. They track wounded prey for miles, feeding only after the animal collapses. In their slow, deliberate gait lives the ghost of ancient predators, evolution preserved in scales and muscle. Crocodiles are masters of stillness. They can slow their heart rate to just 2-3 beats per minute, conserving oxygen while submerged for hours. This lets them ambush prey with endless patience or endure months without food. Their metabolism is so efficient that they thrive where other predators starve. Crocodiles haven't changed much in 200 million years, a testament to the power of simplicity. In their silence lies a strategy older than mammals: wait, endure, survive. Electric fish navigate and communicate with weak electric fields. In murky waters where sight fails, they emit pulses that bounce off objects or other fish. Each species has a unique signal, allowing recognition of mates, rivals, or threats. The elephantnose fish, for example, uses its chin-like appendage to focus these fields, seeing with electricity. To them, the water hums with invisible messages, a sensory world we can't perceive, but that shapes their reality. Electric eels, actually a type of knife fish, deliver 600-volt shocks, enough to stun a horse. They use this for hunting and defense, paralyzing prey with a single jolt. Their bodies contain electrocytes, specialized cells stacked like batteries that discharge simultaneously. Indigenous Amazonians once used them in rituals, believing the shocks could heal or punish. To encounter one is to feel biology transformed into raw power, life as lightning. Bioluminescent bacteria light up the deep. Flashlight fish host glowing microbes in pouches beneath their eyes, blinking them on and off to communicate or confuse predators. Other fish use bacterial light as counter-illumination, matching downwelling light to erase their silhouette from below. This symbiosis is mutual. The fish gets a lantern, the bacteria gets a home and nutrients. In the abyss, even light is a shared resource, a partnership forged in darkness. Squid converse in color. Their skin contains chromatophores, elastic sacs of pigment that expand or contract via muscle control. By activating these in patterns, they flash signals across their bodies: stripes for aggression, spots for courtship, waves for confusion. Some species coordinate their displays in schools, pulsing in unison like living neon signs. To us, it's mesmerizing. To them, it's language, a silent dialogue written in light and motion. The vampire squid thrives in the ocean's oxygen minimum zone, where levels are too low for most life. It doesn't hunt, it drifts, collecting marine snow, organic debris with sticky filaments, rolling it into food balls. Its gelatinous body conserves energy, its webbed arms form a cloak for defense. Despite its name, it's gentle, ancient, and perfectly adapted to scarcity. In a world that values strength, it survives by needing almost nothing. The colossal squid has eyes 30 centimeters wide, the largest in the animal kingdom. In the abyssal dark, these dinner plate orbs detect faint bioluminescence from prey or the silhouettes of sperm whales. Size is survival. The bigger the eye, the more light it can gather. To imagine staring into one is to feel the ocean's depth staring back, a remin. Day that in darkness, vision becomes everything. Barrel-eye fish have transparent heads. Their skull is a fluid-filled dome, revealing green, tubular eyes that rotate upward to scan for prey. This design protects their sensitive eyes from stinging siphonophores while allowing them to hunt in near-total darkness. It's a bizarre, brilliant solution, a creature whose head is both shield and window. Anglerfish wield living lures. A bioluminescent bulb on their forehead, colonized by symbiotic bacteria, glows in the abyss, attracting curious prey. When a fish approaches, the anglerfish strikes with terrifying speed, swallowing victims whole. In some species, tiny males permanently fuse to females, becoming parasitic sperm donors. This extreme adaptation ensures reproduction in a world where mates are scarce. In the deep, light isn't hope, it's a trap. Decorator crabs turn themselves into mobile gardens. They pluck sponges, anemones, and seaweed, attaching them to hooked bristles on their shells. The disguise breaks their outline. The anemones sting predators. It's camouflage with teeth, a walking reef that defends itself. What looks whimsical is survival refined, blending in by standing out. Hermit crabs form vacancy chains. When a new shell appears, crabs line up by size. The largest tries it on. If it fits, it moves in, leaving its old shell for the next. This ripples down the line, ensuring everyone upgrades fairly. It's a rare example of cooperative resource sharing in invertebrates, a social solution to scarcity born of patience and order. Mantis shrimp see 16 color channels, including ultraviolet and polarized light. To them, the reef is a kaleidoscope of signals invisible to us. Their vision aids in hunting and communication. Their shells shimmer with coded patterns. But their true weapon is their club-like appendage, which strikes with the force of a .22 bullet, creating cavitation bubbles that shatter glass. Their sensory geniuses and biomechanical marvels, tiny warriors of the shallows. Polychaete worms glow emerald in deep water. When disturbed, they release luminous particles, leaving trails of green fire to confuse predators. Unlike the aggressive light of anglerfish, this is delicate, like stardust trailing through the sea. It's a reminder that even the smallest lives can write their presence in light. Hydrothermal vents build metal sulfide chimneys, black smokers that tower meters high, formed by mineral precipitation. These structures host entire ecosystems, tube worms, blind shrimp, and heat-loving microbes. Life here depends not on sunlight, but on chemosynthesis, bacteria converting hydrogen sulfide into energy. These vents are Earth's original crucibles, possibly where life began. In their scalding darkness, we see life's power to build abundance from poison. Thermophiles thrive in boiling hot springs. Their enzymes function at temperatures that would denature human proteins. Some give pools vivid colors: orange, green, yellow, creating landscapes that look extraterrestrial. Acidophils live in pH-0 lakes, their membranes resistant to dissolution. These extremophiles expand our view of life's limits and hint at possibilities on Mars or Europa. Microbes live miles underground, feeding on hydrogen from rock-water reactions. This deep biosphere may contain more life than all surface ecosystems combined. These organisms live on geological time scales, reproducing once every 1,000 years. They remind us Earth is alive not just on its skin, but in its bones. Life has endured 5 mass extinctions. Each time, over 70% of species vanished. Yet life rebounded, diversifying into new forms. Without the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs, mammals, and humans might never have risen. Extinction isn't an end, it's a reset, clearing space for innovation. Life is not fragile, it's resilient, adaptive, and endlessly inventive. As we drift deeper into the quiet tapestry of life on Earth, we begin to notice a subtle pattern, not just of survival, but of return. Forms repeat, strategies echo across ages, DNA carries whispers from ancient seas, and even our own cells hold remnants of long-vanquished viruses turned allies. Life doesn't simply adapt in isolation. It builds upon what came before, repurposing, recycling, and remembering. From the dinosaurs that still chirp in our backyards to the stardust in our bones, we are woven into a story far older and vaster than any single lifetime. If this gentle journey brings you peace, your presence here is a gift. A like, a shared moment, or a quiet reflection helps this space grow, so others may find rest within it too. But for now, let go. There is no need to hold onto anything. Just breathe. Let the words wash over you like tides, soft and steady, as we continue through the living memory of our world. Let us go on. Birds are not merely descendants of dinosaurs, they are dinosaurs. Every sparrow that flutters from a branch, every eagle circling high above, carries within its hollow bones and feathered wings the legacy of theropods like Velociraptor. Feathers first evolved not for flight, but likely for warmth, display, or camouflage, only later co-opted for gliding, then soaring. Even today, birds retain claws on their wings, scales on their legs, and a skeletal architecture that echoes their reptilian ancestors. The great extinction that ended the age of giant reptiles didn't erase them, it refined them into lighter, faster, airborne forms that now fill our skies with song. When you hear a robin at dawn, you're not just hearing a bird, you're hearing a voice from the Cretaceous, singing 66 million years after the asteroid fell. Dinosaurs never vanished, they learned to fly. Crocodiles, by contrast, are the guardians of stillness. Their lineage has changed so little in over 200 million years that modern crocs would be nearly indistinguishable to their Triassic ancestors. Their armored skin, ambush tactics, and low-energy metabolism were were perfected so early and so well that evolution had little reason to alter them. They watched as continents split, as forests turned to deserts, as mammals rose and empires rose and fell. Yet they remain, sunbathing on riverbanks, eyes half closed, hearts beating only a few times per minute. In their patience lies a different kind of triumph, not constant reinvention, but timeless endurance. To stand near a crocodile is to stand beside deep time itself, an armored witness to Earth's long unfolding. Some fish straddle two worlds. The lungfish, ancient survivors of the Devonian period, possess both gills and primitive lungs. When their rivers dry into cracked mud, they gulp air, burrow deep, and secrete a mucus cocoon that hardens around them. There they sleep for months or even years, breathing air, not water, until rain returns. This dual respiratory system is a living relic of the great transition from sea to land, a bridge between aquatic and terrestrial life. In their slow, deliberate breaths, we glimpse the moment when vertebrates first dared to crawl onto shore. The lungfish doesn't just survive drought, it carries the memory of evolution in its very lungs. Whales, too, are returners. The largest animals ever to grace this planet began not in the ocean, but on land. Around 50 million years ago, a wolf-like mammal called Pachycetus prowled the shores of ancient Tethys Sea. Over millennia, its descendants grew flippers from legs, nostrils migrated to the top of their heads to form blowholes, and their tails evolved powerful flukes for propulsion. Fossils like Ambulocetus, the walking whale, show creatures that could both swim and walk. Today's blue whales, whose hearts beat like distant drums and whose songs ripple across oceans, are the culmination of that return. When a whale breaches the surface, it is not just feeding or playing. It is, in some deep biological sense, remembering a shore it once walked upon. The sea called them back, and they answered with grace. Horses tell a different story, one of expansion and transformation. Their ancestors, like Eohippus, the dawn horse, were no larger than foxes, with 4 toes on the front feet and 3 on the back, browsing soft leaves in dense forests 55 million years ago. As grasslands spread across the cooling earth, horses grew taller, their side toes shrank, and the central toe fused into a single, weight-bearing hoof, perfect for galloping across open plains. Their teeth elongated to grind tough grasses. Their eyes moved to the sides of their heads for wider predator detection. The thundering herd we see today is the product of climate, grass, and time, a lineage reshaped by the very landscape it roamed. The horse's evolution is a living map of Earth's changing face. And then there is the blue whale, the undisputed giant of all time. Longer than a jumbo jet, heavier than 30 elephants, its tongue alone weighs as much as an elephant. Yet this leviathan feeds on krill, tiny shrimp-like creatures it filters by the millions in a single gulp. Its heart, the size of a small car, pumps blood through vessels so wide a child could crawl through them. And its voice, low-frequency moans that travel hundreds of kilometers through water, may be the loudest sound made by any animal. Despite its immensity, the blue whale is gentle, slow-moving, and deeply mysterious. To share the ocean with such a being is to feel the sheer scale of life's potential, a reminder that biology can dream in titanic proportions. Some creatures barely changed at all. Dragonflies have ruled the skies for over 300 million years. In the Carboniferous period, they soared with wingspan wider than a crow's, hunting giant insects in oxygen-rich forests. Today's dragonflies are smaller, but otherwise nearly identical, predators of astonishing agility, capable of hovering, darting backward, and tracking prey with compound eyes that see in nearly every direction. Cockroaches and silverfish, too, have persisted with minimal change, thr, or multiple mass extinctions. Their success isn't flashy, it's resilience. While others perished in catastrophe, they endured in cracks, leaf litter, and darkness. Evolution doesn't always reward complexity. Sometimes it rewards simplicity done well. These are not primitive animals, they are perfected survivors, each a living fossil carrying deep time in their wings and exoskeletons. Life has weathered 5 great extinctions, cosmic, volcanic, and climatic disasters that wiped out 70% to 95% of species each time. The worst, the Permian-Triassic extinction 252 million years ago, nearly ended complex life entirely. Yet life returned, diversifying into new forms: dinosaurs, mammals, birds. The asteroid that struck 66 million ago ended the non-avian dinosaurs but opened the door for mammals, and eventually us. These aren't just endings, they're resets. Life doesn't cling to what is, it flows into what's possible. Extinction clears the stage, evolution writes a new play. Without these collapses, the world might still be ruled by giant reptiles, and human hands might never have held stars in their thoughts. In destruction, there is space for reinvention. Even in the frozen silence of Antarctica, echoes of green remain. Though today a desert of ice, this continent once hosted forests of beech, ginkgo, and conifers, lush ecosystems beneath a warmer sun. Scientists drilling into permafrost have uncovered ancient seeds, spores, and plant fragments that still contain traceable DNA. These aren't fossils, they're molecular ghosts, fragments of chloroplasts and nuclei that speak of a time when the South Pole bloomed. Though these plants will never grow again, their genetic signatures linger, locked in ice like messages in bottles from a lost world. They remind us that climate is not fixed, it shifts on grand scales, and life must either move, adapt, or vanish. And within your own body, you carry another kind of ancient memory: viral fossils. Nearly 8% of the human genome consists of endogenous retroviruses, remnants of infections that struck our primate ancestors millions of years ago. Most are silent, broken by time, but some were co-opted for essential functions. One such viral gene, syncytin, is crucial for forming the placenta, the organ that nourishes a developing fetus. Without this ancient invader, mammalian pregnancy, as we know it, might not exist. So every time a child is born, it is partly thanks to a virus that infected an ancestor 25 million years ago. Our bodies are not pure, they are mosaics, patchworks of conquest, cooperation, and repurposed invasion. We are built from the ruins of old battles turned into cradles. Every breath you take binds you to this continuum. The oxygen in your lungs may have once swirled through the gills of a Devonian fish. The carbon in your cells might have formed part of a fern in the Carboniferous. The calcium in your bones was forged in a dying star. Atoms are endlessly recycled, released by decay, absorbed by plants, eaten by animals, exhaled back into the air. You are not separate from the mammoth, the coral, or the albatross. You share the same stardust, the same water, the same breath. To inhale is to participate in a cycle older than mountains. Each breath is a quiet reunion with every being that ever lived. And all life speaks the same language, DNA. From the heat-loving archaea in hydrothermal vents to the sequoia reaching for the sky, every organism uses the same four-letter code, A, T, C, G, to store instructions for building and maintaining itself. A gene from a jellyfish can glow inside a mouse. Bacterial enzymes can splice human genes. This universality is the strongest evidence we have that all life shares a common ancestor, a single fragile spark that arose in Earth's early oceans and branched into endless forms. The genetic kinship between a mushroom and a human, a shark and a sunflower, erases the illusion of separation. We are one family, differentiated by time and chance, but united by chemistry. You are made of starlight. The hydrogen in your water is primordial from the Big Bang, but the heavier elements, carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, iron, were forged in the cores of massive stars. When those stars died in supernova explosions, they scattered these elements across the galaxy. Billions of years later, they gathered into clouds, then planets, then oceans, then cells. The iron in your blood once burned in a star's heart. The calcium in your teeth was forged in stellar fire. When you look up at the night sky, you are not just seeing distant suns, you are seeing the furnaces that made you possible. You are the universe experiencing itself, thinking, feeling, wondering. Stardust that learned to dream. This truth is both humbling and empowering. It means that when you care for a forest, you care for your ancestors. When you protect an ocean, you protect your future. The extinction of a frog, a beetle, or a microbe isn't just a loss of biodiversity, it's a page torn from TH's story of which you are part. But the reverse is also true. Every seed planted, every river cleaned, every species saved is a stitch back into the fabric of life. You are not just a witness to this world, you are an active thread in its weaving. Consider the coral reef again, not just as a structure, but as a covenant. Each polyp, no bigger than a pinhead, spends its life building a limestone skeleton that will shelter fish, turtles, and future generations of corals long after it's gone. It builds not for itself, but for what comes next. In that tiny act of generosity lies a model for all life. We thrive not by taking, but by giving, by creating conditions in which others can flourish. The forest does this through its roots, the ocean through its currents, the bee through its pollen, and you through your choices, your kindness, your attention. Even time feels different here. Human lives flicker like candles against the slow burn of Pando, the aspen colony that may be 80,000 years old, or the Greenland shark gliding through Arctic depths for 4 centuries, or the bacteria in deep rock reproducing once every 1,000 years. In their rhythms, we see that life doesn't measure itself in heartbeats alone, but in persistence, continuity, and quiet contribution. To live long is not the only way to matter, but to matter, one must be part of something that endures. And what endures is connection. The mycorrhizal fungi linking trees, the bacteria in your gut shaping your mood, the birds that migrate using stars their great-great-grandparents knew, the genes you share with jellyfish and oak trees. Life doesn't exist in islands, it flows in rivers, networks, and webs. Isolation is an illusion. Even in solitude, you are teeming with microbial companions, breathing air once breathed by dinosaurs, carrying water that fell as rain on ancient mountains. You are never alone. This is the quiet magic of biology. It turns poison into food, as tube worms do with hydrogen sulfide, stone into sustenance, as lithotrophs do with iron, and viral invaders into lifelines, as we do with syncytin. Life doesn't reject the harsh or the foreign, it transforms it. It is the ultimate alchemist, turning darkness into light, death into nutrients, and chaos into order. In its presence, even despair can find hope. If a tardigrade can survive space, if a seed can wait 30,000 years to bloom, then perhaps renewal is always possible, even here, even now. Think of the mangrove standing at the edge of land and sea, filtering salt, buffering storms, sheltering fish. It doesn't resist the tides, it dances with them. Think of the bamboo bending in the wind but rarely breaking, growing a meter in a day after lying dormant for years. Think of the seahorse where fathers carry the young, a reminder that roles are fluid and care takes many forms. These are not just survival strategies, they are philosophies written in flesh and root and scale. And in the deep ocean, where no human has ever walked, life continues its ancient work. Colossal squids drift with dinner plate eyes scanning for bioluminescent flickers. Vampire squids gather marine snow with filaments, patient in oxygen-poor zones. Anglerfish dangle bacterial lanterns in eternal night. None of this is for us. None of it requires our praise or attention. And yet, knowing it exists, that the world is full of wonders we'll never see, expands our sense of belonging. You don't need to witness it to be part of it. You already are. Even silence speaks. The slime mold solving mazes without a brain, the mimosa learning to ignore harmless drops, the tree sending sugar to a shaded seedling through fungal threads. These are not conscious acts, they are expressions of a deeper intelligence woven into the fabric of life itself. Intelligence isn't just in minds, it's in systems, in relationships, in the way a forest breathes as one. To listen, you don't need ears, you need stillness. And stillness is where we began, in the hydrothermal vents, where life may have first paused, assembled, and ignited. In the frozen frog, heart stilled but hope intact. In the lungfish, wrapped in mud, waiting for rain. In you right now, breathing slowly, thoughts softening, trusting that the world will hold you while you rest. Because it will. The same forces that carried jellyfish through 5 extinctions that guided monarchs across continents, that turned stardust into song, that same tenderness holds you now. You are not an accident. You are a continuation, a note in Earth's long, slow symphony. So when you wake, carry this knowing with you. You are made of ancient things. You belong to everything. And as long as life endures, so do you. As our journey nears its end, we find ourselves not at a conclusion, but at a threshold, a quiet place where science softens into poetry and biology becomes belonging. Everything we've witnessed, the frozen frogs, the singing whales, the rock-eating microbes, the dancing birds, points to a sing. The truth, life is not a collection of isolated marvels, but a single, breathing continuum. And you, dear listener, are not merely observing it. You are woven into it, down to the atoms in your bones and the breath in your lungs. If this gentle passage has brought you peace, your presence here is a quiet gift. A like, a shared word, or even the silent act of listening helps this channel remain a sanctuary for weary minds. But for now, let go of all effort. There is nothing to hold onto, nothing to solve. Just breathe. Let the words settle around you like mist over a still lake, soft and slow, as we move toward our final reflections. Let us complete this circle together. When you take a breath, you are not just drawing in air, you are joining a cycle that has flowed for billions of years. The oxygen filling your lungs may once have passed through the gills of a Devonian fish, the stomata of a carboniferous fern, or the spiracles of a dragonfly that soared beneath a sky thick with ancient oxygen. The carbon in your cells might have formed part of a mammoth's tusk, a coral's skeleton, or the bark of a redwood that watched empires rise and fall. Atoms do not vanish. They circulate, released by decay, absorbed by roots, carried by wind and water, rejoining the great river of matter that flows through every living thing. Each breath is a reunion with forests, with oceans, with creatures long gone and those yet to be born. To inhale is to say yes to this endless exchange. To exhale is to give back. And all of it, every leaf, every whale, every microbe, is written in the same language, DNA. From the heat-loving archaea in volcanic springs to the neurons firing in your brain, every organism uses the same four-letter alphabet, A, T, C, G, to store the instructions of life. A gene from a jellyfish can glow inside a mouse. Bacterial enzymes can splice human DNA. This universality is not coincidence. It is the strongest proof we have that all life shares a single ancestor, a fragile spark that flickered to life in Earth's early seas and over eons branched into every form we know. You share 60% of your genes with a banana, 70% with a zebrafish, 98% with a chimpanzee. But even more profoundly, you share the code itself with every living cell on Earth. The genetic kinship between a mushroom and a monarch butterfly, a shark and a sunflower, dissolves the illusion of separation. We are not alone in the web. We are the web. You are also quite literally made of starlight. The hydrogen in your body dates back to the Big Bang, but the heavier elements were forged in the cores of massive stars. Carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, iron, calcium. These were cooked in stellar furnaces over millions of years, then scattered across the galaxy when those stars exploded as supernovae. Billions of years later, they gathered into clouds, then planets, then oceans, then cells. The iron in your blood once burned in a dying star. The calcium in your teeth was forged in cosmic fire. When you gaze up at the night sky, you are not just looking out, you are looking home. You are the universe experiencing itself, thinking, feeling, wondering. Stardust that learned to dream. This truth is both humbling and deeply comforting. It means that every act of care for a forest, a river, a species is an act of self-care, because you are not separate from the world. You are a vessel through which Earth expresses itself. When you protect a coral reef, you protect part of your own ancestry. When you plant a tree, you offer shelter to future versions of yourself, written in shared genes and shared air. Extinction is not just the loss of another. It is the erasure of a thread in the tapestry that includes you. But the reverse is also true. Every seed saved, every habitat restored, every creature given room to thrive is a stitch back into the fabric of wholeness. Consider the mangrove again, standing at the edge of land and sea, filtering salt, buffering storms, sheltering fish. It doesn't resist the tides, it dances with them. Or the bamboo bending in the wind but rarely breaking, growing a meter in a day after lying dormant for years. Or the seahorse where fathers carry the young, a quiet inversion that reminds us, roles are fluid and care takes many forms. These are not just survival strategies. They are philosophies written in flesh, root, and scale. Life doesn't demand that we be rigid, loud, or dominant. It invites us to be flexible, patient, and connected. Even in silence, communication thrives. The slime mold solving mazes without a brain. The tree sending sugar through fungal threads to a shaded seedling. The coral polyp, no bigger than a pinhead, building a reef that shelters thousands. These are not conscious acts, they are expressions of a deeper intelligence woven into life itself. Intelligence isn't just in minds, it's in systems, in relationships, in the way a forest breathes as one. To listen, you don't need ears, you need stillness. And stillness is where resilience often resides. In the lungfish, wrapped in mud, waiting for rain. In the tardigrade, dried to glass, enduring for decades. In the seed, buried in permafrost for 30,000 years, holding a forest in silent potential. These beings teach us that survival isn't always about action. Sometimes it's about trust. Trust that time will turn, that conditions will change, that the world will become kind again. In a culture that prizes constant motion, this is a radical wisdom, the courage to pause and to hold still, to wait. And what are we waiting for? Not certainty, not permanence, but connection. The same connection that binds clownfish to anemones, bacteria to squid, trees to fungi. Your own body is a testament to this. Trillions of microbes living in your gut, on your skin, in your lungs, many essential to your health, your mood, even your thoughts. You are not a single organism. You are a collaboration, a walking ecosystem. A city of cells and symbionts, constantly negotiating, adapting, thriving together. You were never meant to be alone. This interdependence extends outward. the leafcutter ant farming fungi underground, the cleaner fish tending to predators on the reef, the hermit crabs forming vacancy chains to share shells. These are not anomalies, they are the norm. Life builds bridges, not just barriers. It finds ways to cooperate even among natural enemies. In a world that often emphasizes competition, nature whispers a different story. That generosity, reciprocity, and mutual support are just as powerful as strength or speed. Think of the coral reef once more, not just as a structure, but as a covenant. Each polyp spends its life building a limestone skeleton that will shelter fish, turtles, and future generations of corals long after it's gone. It builds not for itself, but for what comes next. In that tiny act of generosity lies a model for all life. We thrive not by taking, but by giving, by creating conditions in which others can flourish. The forest does this through its roots, the ocean through its currents, the bee through its pollen, and you through your choices, your kindness, your attention. Even time feels different when seen through nature's eyes. Human lives flicker like candles against the slow burn of Pando, the aspen colony that may be 80,000 years old, or the Greenland shark gliding through Arctic depths for 4 centuries, or the bacteria in deep rock reproducing once every 1,000 years. In their rhythms, we see that life doesn't measure itself in heartbeats alone, but in persistence, continuity, and quiet contribution. To live long is not the only way to matter, but to matter, one must be part of something that endures. And what endures is love, not in the human sense, but in the biological one, the drive to nurture, protect, and renew. The strawberry poison dart frog carrying tadpoles on its back, the Suriname toad cradling young in her skin, the male seahorse giving birth to dozens of tiny replicas. These acts are not sentimental, they are evolutionary strategies honed by time, but they feel like love because they are love, the fierce, tender commitment to the next generation. In a universe governed by entropy, life fights back with care. Even in the deepest dark, light persists. The fireflies synchronizing flashes across a forest, the squid communicating in waves of color, the anglerfish dangling bacterial lanterns in the abyss. None of this is for us, none of it requires our praise, and yet knowing it exists, that the world is full of wonders we'll never see, expands our sense of belonging. You don't need to witness it to be part of it. You already are. And so, as we come to the close of tonight's journey, let this truth settle into your bones. You belong, not because you've earned it, but because you are made of the same stuff as mountains and meteors, jellyfish and jays. You carry ancient oceans in your blood, stardust in your cells, and the quiet pulse of 3.8 billion years of life in your breath. If your eyes feel heavy now, let them close. Let your thoughts drift like dandelion seeds on a summer breeze. There is no rush, no task, just this moment, held gently by a planet that has carried life through ice ages, extinctions, and cosmic storms. You are slave. You are part of something vast and ancient and kind. And as long as life endures, so do you. If these stories brought you peace, perhaps you'll share them when you're awake, like passing a quiet gift from one sleepy soul to another. A like, a comment, or simply holding this wonder in your heart helps this space grow, so others may find rest here too. But for now, let go. Let the weight of the day dissolve like mist at dawn. You are not alone. You are held by the same planet that cradled life in hydrothermal vents, that taught frogs to freeze and thaw, that turned stardust into song. Sleep well. Dream gently. And remember, you carry oceans, forests, and stars within you. Good night.